In today's video, we're going to be having a look at the Tuya API. We're going to be having a look at how we can control our own IoT devices with the Tuya Cloud, and also how we can go about starting our own projects to utilize the Tuya API. And if you stick around till the end, I'll be sharing details on a Tuya competition you can enter to win yourself some Amazon vouchers or some of these Tuya Fingerbots. Check it out. What's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to be having a look at the Tuya API, and as I said, we're going to be looking at how we can control our own IoT devices with that API. We'll be doing a full run through of creating the Tuya developer account, creating a cloud project and enabling the different APIs. We'll then also add our IoT devices to that project and then start controlling them. If you're a subscriber of my channel, you will have seen in the past I've done a couple of other Tuya videos. I've done a standard Tuya integration video and also a few different local Tuya videos. And if you're new here, then don't worry, we're going to be starting from scratch doing a full run through. And if you hit the subscribe button and ding dong the notification bell, you'll be alerted to any future video that I do. To keep this video relevant to you and to allow you to just access the bits of information that you want, this video will be chaptered. You can find those chapters in the description below, and here's some of the headings that I'll be using. So, who or what is a Tuya? Tuya is a global Internet of Things platform, or IoT platform, that enables products for consumers, brands, manufacturers, and much, much more. Tuya doesn't produce the smart home devices, but rather creates a smart home platform that allows manufacturers to easily create and develop their own devices and utilize the Tuya Cloud. So to think of this in a simple manner, Tuya deal with the back end and deal with the whole cloud connectivity of getting the smart devices connected through the cloud. And that cloud connectivity is what allows you to control your devices from anywhere in the world. So manufacturers register their devices on the Tuya platform, which allows them to then utilize this Tuya Cloud. You can then control these products through the cloud using either the provided manufacturer app or the standard Tuya or Smartlife apps. The Tuya app and the Smartlife app are probably the most common ones you'll see, and you'll see these dotted around all over the place, and you'll also see them listed on packaging for Tuya devices. These apps allow you to configure and control your devices. You can do things like creating simple automations or scenes for your devices. You'll see lots of smart home devices and IoT devices that use the Tuya Cloud, and that's just because it's simpler for a manufacturer to just work with the Tuya platform and have Tuya deal with the back end. And it's not just manufacturers that it's simplified for, it's also simplified for developers, and that's because Tuya offer a wide range of different APIs, tools and services that developers can utilize to create their own apps and to just connect to the Tuya service. And yeah, that all sounds great, but what are the pros and cons of Tuya? To start with, any Tuya compatible device is also compatible with the Tuya and the Smartlife apps, which, as I mentioned, are the most popular apps. So all of these devices are compatible and just work within this one app. As the Tuya devices connect to the Tuya Cloud, you can connect to any of your devices from anywhere in the world, providing you've got an internet connection. The vast majority of the Tuya devices just work straight over Wi-Fi, so there's no need to buy any additional gateway or any other bits of tech. Tuya integrates with other third-party services like Amazon Alexa and Google Home, so you can add voice control to all of your Tuya devices. And probably the last and most important pro that I can think of is the Tuya service is free for the consumer, so there's no monthly subscriptions or any subscription of any kind. You buy your device, you connect it to the cloud, and that's it. So that's the pros for Tuya. What about the cons? First of all is it's cloud connected. Now, some people would see this as a disadvantage and other people probably just wouldn't care. So it kind of depends where you sit with the whole having all of your information stored within the cloud. Next up, we've got latency. So sometimes devices can be a bit slow to react. So for example, you turn on your light, sometimes it might take a couple of seconds to actually turn on, and other times it will be instant. And again, that will be because it's cloud connected, so it actually needs to send a signal out to tell Tuya to send the command to actually turn the light on. Now, it's not ridiculously slow or anything like that. It's just sometimes with that latency, you do have that delay. And if you compared that to, say, a Zigbee bulb, you would see the difference in the speed. My next con then is the device configuration. Now, I think this is because there's so many different Tuya devices, there's lots of different ways to do the configuration. Some of the devices can be quite complicated, and they can be things like, hold this button for 10 seconds and then double press this button, then do a backflip and, And again, that's not all devices, it's just some of the devices have quite complicated setups. Another disadvantage is that you're fully reliant on the cloud, so if for whatever reason Tuya is down or your network can't connect to Tuya, you're not going to be able to control any of your devices. And for my last con then, I'm going to go with product saturation. And what I mean by this is just that Because Tuya is so openly available and manufacturers can just build on their platform, you sometimes get lots of different manufacturers creating the same type of product. So for example, if you did a search on Amazon for Tuya light bulb, you'll see that lots of products are all made by different manufacturers, but they actually all look the same. So those were my pros and cons for Tuya. Let me know in the comments below what yours are. You should now have an idea of who Tuya are and what they do, so let's delve into that API and start controlling our devices. Okay, so we're here on the main Tuya developer webpage, and at this point there's a few things that I assume you've already got set up. So if you're watching this video, you're most likely interested in having a play around with the Tuya API, so I expect you've already got the Tuya app or the Smartlife app set up on your phone. And if you've got the app installed, I'm assuming you've also got a Tuya account, and you've also got a couple of devices linked to your account, so maybe you've got a couple of smart plugs or a couple of smart bulbs. If you haven't got those things set up, you can still follow along with the video, but I'm working on the assumption that you have those things, and the demo and everything I do will be working as if you have those things. So we're going to be linking to and connecting to our devices that are in either our Tuya or our Smartlife app. And if you're happy with that, we can finally get started. There'll be a link for this page in the description below, so go ahead and click that. Once you've got this opened up, we're going to click on IoT platform in the top right there. It's then going to ask us to fill in our account information, so we're going to need to give it our email address, our password. It's also going to ask for a company name. For the company name, you can put whatever you want. Next up, it's going to ask us to set our country or region. Now, I'm UK based, but if I set the UK here, I have to do a couple of extra steps where I have to get in touch with Tuya and get them to reconfigure some things on my profile just to allow me to actually access and use the cloud. You can do this if you want to, but there will be a delay because you've got to wait for Tuya to go in and change the account settings. Sometimes this can just be a few minutes, but if Tuya are quite busy, they do say that the estimated wait could be 12 hours. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to set my region to be USA. That way it'll be instant and I haven't got to wait around. I'm not sure what this is like for other regions as I've only tried it with the UK, but if you do try it with a different region other than the United States of America, there is a chance you may have that delay. And again, the delay can be anywhere from within a couple of minutes to a couple of hours. So we've got all of our information entered here. We're now just going to click agree, and then we're going to click the big orange agree. We're then just going to complete the captcha, and it should prompt us to do an email verification. So if you check your email for the account you just signed up with, you should have a verification code. So just grab that and then paste that in here. And then we can just simply click on create account. That's then just going to bounce us back to the login page. So enter your username and password there and hit login. The first time we log in, we're going to be presented with this little helper pop-up. This is just going to show us how to navigate around the Tuya dashboard. So you can read through this at your own pace, but I'm just going to skip through this now. So I'm just going to press continue, next, next, and next. So this is the Tuya developer dashboard. On the left-hand side here, we can see all the different developer tools that we have access to. Along the top, we've got all the different help options and the documentation for the developer tools. And in the bottom right, just here, you've got a little help services button. So you can submit a help ticket or you can speak to a member of the Tuya team. Now that we're on the Tuya dashboard, the first thing we're going to want to do is to create a cloud project. To do this, we're just going to click cloud on the left-hand side menu here. We're then just going to click on projects at the top. If you followed along with my steps so far, you'll hopefully see a screen like this, where we're going to be subscribing to the cloud development platform. If your screen doesn't look like this and you've got a little pop-up like that, that'll just mean the country or region you registered your account with currently doesn't have access to the cloud API. Depending on your region, you'll either need to resolve this by verifying some extra account information, or you'll need to open a support ticket with Tuya and get them to change it. Opening the support ticket with Tuya could take anywhere from a couple of minutes to a few hours. So moving on, we're going to just click on this free trial in the trial edition section. And from here, we're going to want to make sure that trial edition is selected, and we're just going to click buy now. That should then take us through to the cloud development plans, and we should see the trial package that we just chose. This will have opened in another tab, so we can just now close this tab and head back to the IoT platform. We're then just going to press on the subscribe button here, and we'll see a blank project section like this. Now that that's all done, we can go about creating our project, and the project's going to be what houses all the different bits we're going to be making use of. So we're just going to click this blue create button in the top right. This is then going to ask us for some information about the project. So everything marked with the orange asterisk we're going to have to fill in. So we're going to need to give it a name, set the industry, the development method, and the availability zone. So go ahead and fill in all of your details. For the industry, you're going to want to set this to be smart home. For the development method, you want to choose smart home pass. And for the availability zone, you can choose multiple different ones. For now, I'm just setting it to be Europe, and we're going to hit create. It's then going to pop up the configuration wizard and it's going to give us all the suggested APIs for the industry we chose. So I can see here we've got all the smart home ones, which makes sense as we chose a smart home one. We're just going to hit authorize there. And that will then take us back to our project's overview, and in that we'll see the new project that we just created. You might have spotted that I had another project set up. This one makes use of the custom development, but for the purposes of this demo, we're just going to be sticking with the smart home pass one. Now that that's all done, the next thing we're going to do is to link our app to the project. To do this, we're going to click link with devices. You'll then see this blue add app account button in the right, so press on that. We'll then be presented with a QR code that we'll need to scan with either the Tuya app or the Smartlife app. So on your mobile device, open up whichever app you have. In this demo, I'm using the Smartlife app, so I've got that open on my phone. In the top right corner, you're going to click on the blue plus button. And then again in the top right corner, you're going to click on the little minus. You'll then just need to scan the QR code with your phone. You'll then get a message asking you to confirm the login, so press confirm login. You should then see the browser page refresh and you'll get a notification on your phone to tell you that somebody logged into your account. On the page here, we can now see the app account that we just added. So in my case, it was the Smartlife app. To the right of that, I can see the amount of devices that have been pulled through with the app. And if we click on those devices, it's going to take us to the device list page. From here, I can see a list of all my devices. So it's pulled through 18 devices and I can see that 17 of them are online and one of them is offline. So we've now got access to the APIs that we need. We've set up a new project and we've linked our smart app to that project. And what we can now start doing is utilizing the Tuya API and start controlling those IoT devices that we've linked. And as I mentioned, the IoT device we're going to have a look at controlling is the Tuya Fingerbot. And if you do stick around till the end of this video, I'll be sharing details of that competition where you can go about winning yourself some of these. If you want to know a bit more about the Fingerbot, then I do have a video coming out where I do a full setup and review and go through some of the practical uses of the device. So the Fingerbot is manufactured by a company called Adaprox, and the main idea of it is to retrofit devices and give them smart capabilities. So for example, you can turn on and off devices that don't have those smart capabilities, so things like coffee machines and robotic vacuums. The device is controlled by Bluetooth and uses an app created with the Tuya platform. You can also link the device directly to your existing Tuya or Smartlife apps. In order to connect the Fingerbot to the cloud, you're also going to need the Adaprox Home Hub. The Home Hub will connect to your router and allow you to pass Wi-Fi signals and translate them into Bluetooth signals. So in our use case, we're going to be firing commands at the Fingerbot, and the way that the Fingerbot's going to receive them is they're first going to pass through to the Home Hub. The Home Hub's going to translate that and then pass that to the Fingerbot. So the Home Hub acts as the middleman between the Fingerbot and the Tuya Cloud. If you've got your Home Hub set up and you've also got your Fingerbot set up, then you'll be good to go now. If you're making use of this tutorial to control another device, for example a smart bulb, then you're not going to need that Home Hub. Let's have a go then at firing some commands at the Fingerbot. The first thing we're going to need is the Fingerbot's ID. To get this, we're just going to click on Device List at the top here. In the device list, you're going to want to make sure that you're using the correct app account and that the data center is also correct. You're then going to want to just scroll through your devices until you find the one that you want. I can see the Fingerbot here, and just underneath the Fingerbot is the device ID. So I'm going to want to just copy and paste that. And now that we've got the device ID, we can head into the API Explorer. So you're going to want to make sure you're in the Cloud tab and then choose API Explorer. So this is the Tuya API Explorer, and this is going to be where you do all of your experimenting and playing around with the various endpoints. So in the Explorer, we've got 3 different sections. We've got the device management, the network management, and the device control. And each of those 3 sections refers to different endpoints within the API that we can control and make use of. Let's have a look at this now then. So we'll start off with the device management, and we'll just have a look at the device status. So choose Get Device Status. And in here, it's going to ask us for the parameter of the device ID, which is what we just copied into our clipboard a second ago. So if we just paste that in, and then we can just press Submit Request. This response returns some JSON, and in that I can see information about the Fingerbot. So I can see there the battery percentage. So this particular Fingerbot has currently got 76% battery. So from that we can see it's working. We can see we can connect to our Fingerbot and get information back using the API Explorer. Let's now have a look at the device control. So on the left there, we're going to choose device control, and we're going to want to click on Get the instruction set supported by the device. And again, in here, we're going to want to just enter that device ID. So just paste that in there again and hit Submit Request. So this JSON that's come back is all of the different functions that the Fingerbot supports. So I can see from that it's got an option to switch, and it takes the parameter type of Boolean. So if I called that one, that would be the switch on and off. It's also got a function for mode. So again, we could swap that between click and switch. If it's a click, it's just going to press the button and then come back up. And if it's a switch, it's going to go down and stay there until you switch it back off. There's then also a few other functions in there. So you can control the timer, you can control the arm down %, you can also control the click sustain time and also the arm up %. Basically, any control that you can do within any of the smart apps that control the Fingerbot, you can do with this API. And that's because those apps are created on the Tuya platform and utilize this API. Just in case I didn't make it clear enough, this bit on the left is all the bits of the API that you can control. The bit in the middle is where you're going to set your post and get information for a particular device. And then the bit on the right then is going to be your debugging information. So this is where you're going to see any errors or responses from the devices. And this top part here is a split pane. So the first option that you've got is the debugging result. That's where you're going to see all of your feedback. And the next option over then, the view document, is just a bit of information of how the responses are formatted. So let's have a look at that now. So this is a bit of the API documentation, and it's going to tell you a bit about the parameters and what it expects and what it needs. Let's have a go at controlling some of those functions we mentioned for the Fingerbot. To do this, we're going to click on Control Device. And again, we're going to want to enter the device ID. As we're going to be calling the API now, we're going to want to swap back to the debugging result view, just so we can see any error messages or feedback from the device. What we're doing here is a HTTP post for the device we've chosen, which is the Fingerbot. We can see it's also asking for the body of this post, and it's expecting some commands. Just next to the commands is this little question mark, and if we hover over it, it's going to show us an example command. We can just click copy on that, and then we can paste that into the commands. To send this request, we're just going to hit submit request there. What we did here was call the example command. Now, because that's just an example, it doesn't work with our Fingerbot, so we got an error, and we can see that it errored by, in the response here, the success type is false. Had that been successful, the return type there would have been true. There's also a little message in that response to tell us why it failed. So we can see there it failed because the command or value is not supported. If I just pull up a snippet here of the supported instruction set for the Fingerbot, you might remember the first one that was in that list was the option for switch. So we can see there the code is switch and the type it's expecting is a Boolean. In our command here, we can see we're trying to call code switch_1, which isn't supported by our Fingerbot. So the Fingerbot is just looking for the code switch. So if we take off that _1, that now matches with what the Fingerbot's looking for. The second bit it was after was a Boolean, which is either going to toggle on or off the switch. We can see here we're setting it to be false. So let's have a go at setting that to be true and seeing what happens when we call it. Here's the Fingerbot then. There's many like it, but this one is mine. And we're just going to hit submit request there. And you can see it fires off the command. Let's have a go at pressing submit request again. In the response there, you can now see it's true, and you can see that the Fingerbot actually called and it did its little arm movement. When you press submit request, there is a slight delay, but it's nothing major. And if you think about what it's doing, we're sending a command from our machine here, which is going through the Tuya Cloud, down to our router, to the Adaprox hub, and then to the Fingerbot. It's not a crazy amount of time, but I'm going to press submit request now and I'll actually time how long it takes. That one was pretty instant, so I'll try and do it again. Having done a few test calls, it takes anywhere from between 2 to 6 seconds for the actual call to go through. Let's have a look at another command then. So we're back in the instruction set for the Fingerbot. And this time we're going to have a go at calling the mode. So the code that we need is mode, and the type is an enum. Below the type is a set of values that the enum can take. So it could be either a click or a switch. And back to our control device then. So we're going to update our command here, and instead of switch, it's going to be mode. For the value of this, it's going to be an enum, and there's two different enums we can choose from. So it can either be a switch or a click. Let's have a go at swapping this out for a click. So it needs to be in quotations. I'm going to put quotes and then click. I'm just going to go ahead and click submit request. The robot should now be in click mode, and what this means is the little robot arm is going to go down and then come back up to simulate a click. Now I think click is the default mode, so let's have a go at changing this to switch, and what the robot arm should do is just go down and stay down. To do this, all we're going to do is just swap out the word click for the word switch. and then we're just going to hit submit request again. So we can see there that the robot arm's gone down and hasn't come back up. If we now call the original command we did, the switch command, and we give it the value true, it should switch on and that should retract the robot arm. Let's give that a go now. We've just had a look at controlling the device based on the instruction set. Another thing that you can do is have a look at the specification attributes. So in the left-hand menu there, if you click Get Device Specification Attributes, and again, just enter the device ID and hit Submit Request. What we now get is a response that contains all the codes and all the different values that are applicable to those codes. So these are all the different possible values for those attributes. So let's pick a random one from the list. We'll go for the charge status here. In the charge status, we can see that it's an enum type, and these are all the different possible values for that enum. So you've got the values none, charge in, and charge done. Just for another quick example here, and also to just contrast against the Fingerbot, I've got a device ID here for a Tuya light bulb, and with this one I've just done the instruction set supported call, and here's the response for that. And again with this one we can see we've got the codes and the different values that we can make use of. So if I was to do the similar thing to what we did with the Fingerbot, I could turn on and off the light and also adjust the colours and the temperature of the light bulb. So that's been a quick look at the Tuya API Explorer. Hopefully from watching that you've got an understanding now of how you go about getting information about a device and also controlling it. So just go and have a play around. There is a ton of help and documentation on the website, and you can also do a live chat and support with the Tuya engineers. In addition to the Tuya API Explorer, there are a few other ways you can make use of the Tuya API. One of the other popular methods is by using Postman. On the Tuya website, there's a full written guide, and I'll have this linked in the description. So Tuya give you instructions for the whole setup of Postman, and they also include some environment files. These environment files contain everything you need to pre-populate 15 different requests. If you've never used Postman before, it's a handy tool that you can use to make use of exploring and testing APIs. One really nice thing about using Postman with the Tuya API is that you can save everything. If you watched my local Tuya videos, you'll know that I created a console app to extract the Tuya local keys from a preference file. I do plan on updating that console app with giving it the ability to connect to the Tuya API and extract the keys from the API. As well as updating my key extractor tool, I plan on creating a video where I'll be using the Tuya API to control and interact with the robotic vacuum that I've got. We'll then be utilising that information and turning it into web requests, which we'll be calling with a Python script and using Home Assistant to call those Python scripts. And as I further develop that, I'm going to try and turn it into a full-blown Home Assistant integration. And if that sounds like a project you'd be interested in, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding-dong that notification bell. So the bit you've all been waiting for, the Tuya competition. Now the best thing about this competition is it's totally free and all the materials you need are all provided. And even better yet, if you followed along with this video, you'll actually be eligible for some of these prizes already. Tuya are currently running a competition to encourage developers to develop content for their platform. The competition prizes include a $7 coupon, a Fingerbot, and a $35 Amazon voucher. So for the competition, there's 4 different missions that you can do in order to get those 3 prizes. The first one is for developing an app for either Android or iOS using the Tuya SDK. The second one is for linking open source hardware to the Tuya Cloud platform. The third mission is for controlling devices with either Home Assistant or Homebridge. And the last one is for just developing an automated system using the Tuya API. So choose one of those 4 missions and then you'll be able to just follow the 4 steps in order to get your prizes. So here in the first one, we've got the Tuya IoT App SDK. So this one's for creating the app for Android or iOS. You've then got the open source one, the Home Assistant one, and the Tuya API one. Again, if you followed along with this tutorial, you will have actually done that Tuya API one. So let's click that one. So step 1 is register for a Tuya Cloud platform, which you did. Step 2 is to create a cloud project, which you've also done. And for that one, you'll be rewarded with a 50% off coupon for a Fingerbot. And step 3 is to just request API permissions, which again, if you followed along, you will have done. So as you will have done those 3 steps, you should be eligible for a free Fingerbot. And if you're still not sure of what the Fingerbot is, be sure to check out my setup and review video of the Fingerbot when it's live. To complete step 4 of this particular mission, you'll need to create something and then upload it to GitHub, and then you'll need to share that with Tuya. As I mentioned, I will be doing some work on my console project to connect it to the Tuya API, and also creating some Python scripts to connect to the API. And I'll be sure to share that work with you and other examples which you can use to base your foundations off in order to help you with that mission 4. If you've got any questions about the competition, there is a handy little FAQ on that webpage for the competition, so go and check that out. If you're still stuck, then be sure to message the Tuya engineers for any more information. So go and give it a go. Win yourself some Fingerbots and potentially some Amazon vouchers. Let me know in the comments below any cool ideas you've got for the Fingerbot and which of the 4 missions you're going to have a go at doing. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop it a like rating. If you found this video interesting or you like the sound of any of the upcoming projects that I've mentioned, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you ding dong that notification bell, you'll be alerted to whenever those videos come out. Before I go, I wanted to say a big thank you to Tuya for giving me early access to this competition, and an even bigger thank you to these awesome dudes who are my patrons. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, and if you're interested in becoming one of these awesome dudes, be sure to check out the link for my Patreon in the description below. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!